We are on our way to Qingdao, China. We are in the Hong Kong International Airport. This cat is huge. We are in Qingdao, China. In this video, I want to talk about how China actually is as a country and in the cities, and what it would be like to live in Qingdao, where in fact I lived for 5 years, and put aside many of the misconceptions that people in the West have about China, where they seem to have a dated view of it. But in fact, China is very modern, very up to date, and wonderful people, and a wonderful place to live. We are in May 4th Square, and behind me you see one of the most famous landmarks of Qingdao, which is the sculpture commemorating May 4th, a student day. And this sculpture is entitled The Wind of May. And it's got great circling motion to it, and you'll see it in lots of photographs indicating Qingdao. Qingdao is a seaside city. It is a ski resort, and it is very beautiful. It was also, in the 2008 Olympics, the site of the yachting competitions, and right across the bay from where I'm standing is the Olympic Center. Public transportation in Qingdao is really good. We are going into the subway now, very modern. There are several subway lines, built pretty quickly actually, and they go everywhere. Here we are on the platform, which is clean always and spacious, and the signage is in both Chinese and English and is really excellent. There is a map of the subway line, and of course the line indicator, which way we're going, and closing doors. When the subway comes in, you cannot board until it fully stops, the subway doors open, and the outer glass doors open. Much safer than just having a subway train rolling into the station. I don't know why all subways don't have these protective doors. There are these signs that indicate how soon the next train will arrive. They go back and forth between Chinese and English. And it's cheap, super cheap. You can ride a long ways for far less than $1. This subway line has been in operation for many years now, but it still stays totally clean and looks brand new, which is part of the wonderful maintenance of the facilities in China. Another of the wonderful things about Qingdao is the beauty of it. There are bushes and trees and flowers everywhere, and especially along the big roads, they plant bushes and trees and flowers right down the center median, which makes it so much nicer to drive along. Qingdao is on the coast, about halfway between Beijing to the north and Shanghai to the south, and we are at the beach. I'm going to turn around and show you the beautiful beach, and then we're going to walk towards the sculpture park. There's a long park that runs along the beach, wonderful for walking with sidewalks, and a beautiful sculpture park, and we'll take a look at some of that. Come along with us. China is very, very clean everywhere. Unlike many big cities where you see trash all over the place, not in China, and the reason is because they hire people to clean every morning. The city of Qingdao is very art aware. They've put up this frame to frame the beautiful mountains and the ocean in the background. This sculpture is entitled Jumping by Zhang Mian. Love. It is a mother and son who are diving, and they are playing with a couple of dolphins as they swim through the ocean. The sculpture is called Sea Wind. You can tell that the wind is blowing. You can see that the woman's hair has blown across her face. You can see the great movement in her skirt there. A diver just launching from the diving board. The sculpture is entitled Watching. And along with watching, then of course we need listening, the title of this sculpture. Listen to the sea. This sculpture of a horse appears to be, just two-dimensional, but as we walk closer and around it, you can see that the horse continues on the other side. It's sort of the Han Solo version of a horse, frozen in carbon. The famous movie director, Alfred Hitchcock, and the sculpture is entitled The Master of Suspense. Now I want to show you my favorite sculpture in this whole sculpture park, which is also a little bit sad. It's a sculpture of a little girl who died so young. One of the things that people consistently get wrong about China is the misconception that it's not somehow modern, but it's super modern. And there are skyscrapers and tall apartment buildings just everywhere. Here's an example. All tall apartments within walking distance of the seaside. Qingdao is home to the Qingdao Brewery, and the beer is famous all over the world. You can buy it in most places, and it's really, really good. And you can go to the Qingdao factory here and get fresh beer. And the locals go there to buy beer in plastic sacks. Here you can see the man has come perhaps off the beach. He's got a cigar in his hand, and he is carrying the plastic sack full of beer. As on beach towns everywhere in the world, we gotta have a little carnival. Entertainment, as well as lots of restaurants and coffee shops. Mrs. Bob and I have now come in a coffee shop, which is particularly beautiful on the inside. I want you to see it. The wall is beautifully painted with scenes of Qingdao and people enjoying life in Qingdao. Of course, there's Alien Coffee, that's where we are right now, although it's in a fictional setting because in the distance there we see the Catholic Cathedral, which is nowhere near where we actually are right here by the sea. This is Shilaoren Beach. It's one of the best beaches in Qingdao. Shilaoren stands for Old Stone Man because offshore there's a big rock formation that people say looks like an old man sitting. I've never been able to see it, but that's what they call it. But the beach is beautiful and it's surrounded by lots of modern office buildings, and is a great view. Take a look. And on the subject of Qingdao, and all of China for that matter, being very modern, we're about to go into one of the most modern shopping centers, shopping mall. There's an interesting quirk about getting into a shopping mall. There are lots of doors, but only one is open. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's the front of the mall. You can see all these doors, but the only one that's actually open is this one on the end. So that's the one you have to go in. But then once you're inside, the doors directly in front, they're not open. Have to go to the other side to actually get into the mall. So now we come to the door to actually go into the mall. It's sort of like doing a big U-turn. And we're in. Now we're inside the shopping mall, and I'm going to give you some looks at it. It's about 4 or 5 stories and full of all kinds of shops. Take a look. Many stories. All the escalators up and down. In the middle. And stores, stores, stores. A lot of the stores in this particular shopping mall are pretty high end. Here we have Tory Burch, followed by Bally, and a little further down is Coach. Here you can get a good idea of the scale of this shopping mall. 6 floors. Escalators all over the place. Shops, shops, shops. I don't know how many shops there are here. Hundreds. There has been a lot of real estate development in China in the last few years, and my wife and I are considering buying an apartment to live in Qingdao. This is where we met and where we taught at university, and we like to go back and forth. So we're going to look at an apartment now. This is a pretty new and pretty modern apartment. And here is a model of the complex and a map of where it is in Qingdao. Pretty fancy area. So this is typical of modern Chinese apartments, or in US phraseology, condominiums, and they're quite beautiful. We're going to see the interior of one in a minute, but you can see that the public areas are really nice. Here's a garden on the first floor. Very beautiful garden that you can enjoy if you live here. And there's a cafe area. With a lovely view of the garden outside. And over here it seems we have a little music room. A piano. For those who play, have a little private concert. Gym area. And dry land curling. For those of you who are curling fans of the Olympics, here we have dry land curling. Haven't tried this, but it looks like fun. We're now inside one of the units. This one is 140 square meters, And I'll show you as we walk around, starting with the private elevator that lets you off just into your apartment. This is the private elevator that opens into a little space that's just yours. And then you walk into the apartment here, just to the right. There's a little laundry and area where you can put the washer dryer, and just off the elevator. And then here we have the living room with a beautiful view out the panoramic windows. And just to the left, we have the kitchen. Great view outside the living room windows. And here is one of the bedrooms, which is just off the living room. I think this would probably be a guest bedroom. Off the other side of the living room, we have a little room that can be an office. As you see, it's decorated as an office right now with a desk and shelves and a little balcony. The area is still under construction in the back. Then we go into the hallway, which leads to the master bedroom. Nice glass sliding closet doors. And connecting to the bedroom is the master bath. A very comfortable apartment. This is the first one we're seeing, and I'm sure that we will look at a lot before we make any decisions. But this one is quite nice and in a pretty good area as well. So that's your first look at what living in Qingdao can be like. Life in China is very convenient, and one of the things that I find to be very convenient is that there is a grocery store in every shopping mall. We're in yet another shopping mall than the one I showed you earlier in this video, but let me show you the grocery store. We passed by some food in the food court, and then we have the entrance to the grocery store. Starting with the bakery, and then moving on to everything you will need for your daily shopping. How great is that? Why don't we have grocery stores and shopping malls in the US? I don't know. It's really great. So there's your first look at Qingdao, China. Were you surprised? Did you see things you didn't expect? Find out things you didn't know about? I hope so. I hope you'll join me again for the next several videos, more about Qingdao and China in general. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.